Pokemon Planet was an online live service Pokemon MMO that shut down its browser functionality in 2021 due to the removal of Adobe Flash Player from many popular browsers. Since then, player counts have decreased exponentially and updates were few and far between, while few still remain to play and grind with the promise of someday having an update that would change everything. This is that update. Yes, I'm being serious. Pokemon Planet is back and stronger than ever. Chromebook kids rejoice, the game is able to be played online again. For those of you that have stopped playing the game, there's some amazing new changes, so I highly recommend trying out the game again. Before I get into the patch notes though, I do have an open letter for those of you who have previously been subscribed to my channel. If you're new or don't want to hear my long-winded message to my subscribers, feel free to skip to one of the timestamps on screen. However, if you do skip, you'll be missing out on an important announcement. First off, I'd like to extend a huge thank you to those of you that have stayed subscribed after I stopped making Pokemon videos. And I'd like to extend even more of my gratitude to those of you that have still continued to watch my videos after I stopped making strictly Pokemon content. I hope to continue to make a few videos with my friends in the future. It means so much to me that you've continued to watch. Now, I know a lot of you are curious on why I stopped making Pokemon Planet videos in the first place, and I'll answer that. To be clear, by the way, I never left and I never stopped playing the game, I just stopped making videos on the subject. The main reason that I stopped was at the time I didn't see any reason to keep going. Patches were starting to roll out less frequently, which made it harder to come out with new and interesting content consistently. As well as at the time I had made all the videos that I wanted to put out. I began to grow slightly disinterested in Pokemon as I grew older as well, and I really wasn't having as much fun recording, editing, and posting as I used to. As well as the fact that I really just needed a break to upload whatever I wanted, whenever I wanted. Some days I just felt that my videos were absolutely awful, like I was terrible at the game and I didn't know anything past the bare basics. I still feel like that a lot nowadays. I mean, seriously, look at the videos like the World Boss Guide and the Money Making Guide.
Garchomp, well, I'm gonna give you my strategy. I like to call this the Yeet Strat. It's basically just a choice banded Garchomp with Earthquake and Dragon Claw. But if you have a lot of EXP shares, you can make bank. So what I found the most useful for making money, if you want to pick up an extra like 300k or so, you can go and buy one of these gems. After 4 tournaments of just constantly...
What the hell was I thinking? Plus a whole bunch of personal issues that are better not said. During my break, however, I increasingly got more of an itch to start making content on the game again. However, I couldn't really create anything because the client wasn't getting substantially updated enough, the player base was declining, and the thought of the work that I put in being essentially erased at the release of the Unity patch when they changed everything was an extreme demotivator and made me feel like my videos would have been trashed by the time the patch rolled out. Now keep in mind that at the time we didn't have the official patch notes for the Unity update yet, and we wouldn't until about a month ago. I had some interactions with some fans in late 2022, however, and they did eventually motivate me to start streaming again. I began streaming again, and it really reignited my passion when the release date was announced for the Unity patch. And now we're here. Again, a huge thank you to those of you that have stuck around, attended my streams, and watched some of my offshoot videos. And I've got a very special announcement for everyone watching. Did you know that you, yes, you, could be in one of my videos? I need player sprites for the character stills that I'm gonna start doing on this channel for little skits, gags, and to generally explain information better to viewers. Your in-game player name will be credited at the end of my videos as well as in the description. If you would like a chance to potentially get into one of my videos, all you have to do is screenshot your character at a front profile and 2 side profiles and send them to my inbox on the in-game forms to enter. To do this, you can either download a program like Lightshot or by using the snipping tool on Windows or Mac. For you Chromebook players, you can press Control Shift and show windows to take a screenshot. Please make sure that your screenshots are cropped to only show your character. For example, screenshots that look like this are valid. Full game or desktop screenshots will be disqualified as the sprites will be warped when I drag the characters into my editing software. Also, please make sure that the background does not clash with your character sprite. So for instance, if you're wearing predominantly black clothing, you should probably go to a more lighter colored area. It just makes the editing process easier for me so I don't have to spend time trimming all the little pixels out. Most grassy routes and fields will probably work for most players. If you have trouble using your snipping or screenshotting tool, consult Google or another preferred browser. However, Lightshot will probably give you the best results. Once you have your screenshot, you can upload your images privately to a website like Imgur, which I'll be using for this example. To upload your image, you sign in or create an account and then hit New Post in the top left. Drag in your image to upload it. It will be automatically set as hidden, so no need to worry about anyone else being able to see it. This next step is extremely important, and if you miss it, you could end up really confused. When you're trying to get the link for your image, do not use the link at the top or the link that you can copy, as these won't work. Instead, right-click your image, hit Open Image in New Tab, and then copy that link. If you see a .png or .jpeg at the end of the link, you know you did it right. Once you have the links to your images, go to the Pokemon Planet website and click View Inbox. Once you've done that, click New Message. In the To box, type Super Andro 4. Pretty large disclaimer, please make sure you send it to me and not anyone else who has a similar username. Also, if you do get a message from anyone else that is not from my username, please throw it out. I had a few people a couple years ago try to impersonate me, and I'm gonna try not to let that happen again, so just be warned. In the subject box, type character entry just like it's shown on screen. Then, set up your message like this. Type open bracket, IMG, close bracket, and then your link to your image, and then you can end it with open bracket, /IMG, close bracket. After you've done that, you can write a little message to me if you want to. I know people are socially anxious, because I mean, so am I, but you're not required to send me anything, but you can. Of course, I do have to disclose that hate mail and toxic comments will lead to an immediate disqualification and a potential block on the forums from me. Any entry that doesn't have any character screenshots will be automatically deleted. Afterwards, hit send and wait for my next video to release and see if you've been selected. I may also potentially send you a message back saying that you've been selected. Once you have been selected, however, you must wait 5 videos after the video that you were featured in to request another entry. Multiple entries from one user will be thrown out. My goal is to try to get out a video every 2 weeks or so, and I'll update you on my YouTube community tab if something is to be delayed. Once again, I'd like to thank you all so much for the immense support on my videos, and good luck to those of you that have already entered. Now, over the course of the last couple years, a lot of players have probably logged on to Pokemon Planet one day in early 2021 and were like, what the hell is this? And we're confused about what happened to the game. Well, let me tell you what happened. What's the story, Wishbone? Okay, first off, before I explain what happened and why it was shut down, I do feel obligated to go over what Adobe Flash Player and the Unity engine are. Trust me, someone would have missed the memo. Now, if you don't know, all games are run on an engine that determines things like physics and graphics. There are some engines that you probably know of, such as the Unreal Engine. Games like Fortnite and Jedi Fallen Order are developed in this engine. And then of course there are some engines that are specific to one game, for instance the Blam or Slipspace engine, which is made for exclusively developing Halo games. Adobe Flash Player was a type of game engine. I mean, it really wasn't an engine, it was more like a multimedia viewing platform that could also play. Okay, you know what? You know those games on Cool Math Games that you used to play when the teacher wasn't looking in the computer lab in elementary school? Chances are those were running on Adobe Flash Player. However, because it's, well, to be blunt, old, several popular browsers like Google Chrome, Microsoft Edge, and Firefox would no longer be supporting it as it got outclassed by good old HTML5. Plus, it had numerous security issues and it had terrible performance. So essentially, Flash was getting old and it was time to discontinue it. Now, not all browsers got completely rid of its implementation. I know that you could still play Pokemon Planet on mobile if you were able to get your hands on Puffin Premium, and there were a couple other browsers on desktop that could do the same, but all of the major browsers that most people use were completely cutting Flash support. Now, Flash was shutting down, and Pokemon Planet at the time ran off of Adobe Flash, so it was time to update it. However, it would take a while to redevelop the game in the Unity engine. So what they did was they kept the Flash Player implementation for those people that had browsers and could run Flash, and for everyone else, they gave us a download client. For Windows and Mac only. No Linux, no Chrome OS, and a lot of ticked off people, because a lot of people surprisingly play the game on a Chromebook. And to those of you that have missed out, you didn't miss much. Now, a lot of people probably didn't mind it at first. You know, they thought, oh yeah, you know, this will be like a month or two, I don't mind, I can... 2 years. 2 whole long years we had to deal with the client. Now, you may be asking yourself, well, why was it bad? Well, let me tell you, there were a few problems with it. The first was that it really was not secure. A lot of people have found their way into downloading auto-clickers and bots without getting caught, which you could probably imagine caused a lot of problems during map control. Don't download auto-clickers. They get you banned. Alright? Another problem with it was that major content updates were essentially non-existent, so we didn't get any huge updates, and on top of that, if we did get anything new, say if an event was to go live, it wasn't like an instant patch, you had to go and download the actual patch. It wasn't too bad, but it was slightly annoying for people that didn't understand it. Over the course of early 2021 and the end of 2022, we got a total of
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
7
patches. Okay, technically 8. Now, okay, obviously there were more patches than that. There were several small bug fix patches, however, I'm only counting the ones that changed something actively in the game. Now, of course, I do understand why all of this had to happen. They first off couldn't update the client because you would have had to modify the entire application and not just update the servers. And of course, the patches stagnated because of the push to get out Unity as soon as possible. And it's not like they could implement things like Megas or Kalos or berry farming or any of that because none of it was simply ready. So personally, I honestly didn't really mind the fact that we didn't get anything over the last few years, but I know the majority of players were pissed off about it. Of course, I would have liked more patches, just like everyone else, but you know what? Now it's over. What can you do? Once you do look at the patches they did put in, however, I think you'll be pretty happy about it. If you're curious on what changed between January of 2021 and December of 2022, here's the full list. Several mounts and decorative items have been added to the credit shop and other prize shops. Anything Goes tournaments were replaced with Uber's tournaments. World Blessings got buffed, so instead of stacking 10 every hour and the bonus going up by 10% experience, they can now be stacked to 20 with a 5% experience bonus with every blessing. This helps players get rid of excess blessings in their inventory. This was an amazing change. The altar got buffed, so now every $600 equals 1 philanthropist point instead of every $800 equaling 1 philanthropist point. The Clan Wars MVP credit rewards got buffed to 100 and then again to 200. World Blessings got nerfed, going down from 500 philanthropist point a blessing to only 350. Legendary eggs got nerfed, becoming untradeable. World Boss times got nerfed. Instead of spawning every 24 to 36 hours, it's now every 24 to 48 hours. Okay, this was the patch that really pissed people off. This was a huge mining nerf. Dark gems sell for 900 instead of 1,000, and pale gems sell for 550 instead of 600. Along with a slightly longer respawn time for pale gems, and a respawn buff to dark gems, going from respawning every 130 to 190 seconds, to respawning every 120 to 180 seconds. Dark Gems also got a massive experience nerf. When I mean massive nerf. You now get between 150 to 200 mining experience as opposed to the old 700 to 900 experience, making it harder for players to level mining. Now hold on. A new type of rock got added. Lava rocks are essentially red gemstone rocks, except they're only on specific maps. They require a mining level of 65 and they reward 3 red gemstones. The only caveat is that they have the same properties as dark rocks, giving the same Pokemon and item encounter rates, as well as the original, although slightly buffed, experience yield of old dark rocks, giving out about 750 to 900 experience. So if you're trying to level up mining at that level and don't really care about making money, lava rocks might be the way to go. Clan Wars got a complete rework, and it's probably the biggest change out of everything. Tier 3 has been completely removed in favor of Tier 1 and Tier 2 both being set level, with Tier 1 having a ban list change. There was also a 10% increase to all Clan War token rewards in both of these tiers. Usage stats got moved to an in-game command and refresh every week or whenever the server restarts. The Reggie Trio all now have a 2x encounter rate boost during gold rushes on the Gold Rush map, which also stacks with honey. So if you're trying to get a Reggie, maybe do it in a gold rush now. A few wild cat Pokemon have a 1 in 100,000 chance to drop a cat mount. So these would include Pokemon like Meowth, Persian, Shinx, Skitty, etc. To put that into perspective, that's almost the base encounter rate of a legendary Pokemon, so it's definitely a highly sought after item. An extremely nice change for all of our new players, you can now choose between all starters from Gens 1 through 6, including Pikachu and Eevee when picking a starter Pokemon. These new starter Pokemon will all start with 25 IVs in every stat as well as a neutral nature. If you want my opinion, the majority of players that I've spoken to recommend starting with a Mudkip, as it has an extremely good typing. However, Eevee is an extremely popular choice because, well, it's Eevee. However, starter Pokemon will not register as caught in your Pokedex for starter Pokemon received by Professor Oak. That means to have that Pokemon set as caught in your Pokedex, you have to go out and hunt it. There were a couple World Boss moveset changes, and clan banks were disabled while a bug was being fixed and were never implemented for the rest of the client's lifespan. And that's it. Nothing crazy, nothing too boring either. However, outside of security issues and stagnant updates, the game worked as intended. There weren't really any issues with it. It played like normal. Tournaments and clan wars still happened, social life was still up and running, That is until the player decline. Yes, it doesn't surprise me either. People got fed up with waiting or just plain got bored and left the game. This left the player count around 400 or less online at a time with a small spike during events. I sincerely hope that all of you that gave up on the game after the client patch are willing to come back, because Pokemon Planet's Unity patch is finally out, and let me tell you, there is no better time to get back into the game than right now. The Unity patch is probably the biggest patch we've had in a while and has a lot of exciting new content to offer. Unfortunately, for the longest time, it was really up in the air what exactly we were going to get from this long-awaited patch. However, we finally got the full patch notes in January and the complete release this month, and I'm super excited to show you the new patch notes and to give my thoughts. There's also a few other changes not mentioned in the patch notes, and I'll be going over as many as I can find. Before I start, however, please note that the patch has only been out for a few days as of me recording this, and my analysis of these changes may be incorrect by the time you're watching this video. Also, since the game had to be mostly rebuilt from the ground up, there are still several issues and bugs that still need to be addressed and fixed. A few of these include getting stuck in battles and loading zones not working properly. If you do encounter something that you find to be incorrect or not working within the game, I urge everyone to go to the official Pokemon Planet Discord server and report them. Without further ado, here is everything new in the Pokemon Planet Unity update. The first patch we're going to be talking about is the newly added mobile support. Yes, Pokemon Planet is going to start catering towards all the players that play on tablets and phones. It's not going to be a dedicated app, unfortunately. However, now that the game is running on the Unity engine, you won't need a specific browser like Puffin to play the game. You now have specific buttons to use your mount, to go fishing, and to interact with players and objects. From my experience though, it's a little hard to do things like swap Pokemon, open your inventory, or move precisely on my phone. However, tablet players will most likely have a better time. This is probably going to be tweaked heavily in the future. A great change for those of you that play on mobile. The next piece of content that I'll be going over probably took the developers the longest to implement in, as they've completely reworked the battle system, basing it off of Pokemon Showdown. You now have a complete turn log of everything that's happened in the battle. You can see what moves have been used by which Pokemon and how much health or what effect that move had on the opposing Pokemon. All 4 number keys work as well, meaning that you can play the game without having to use your mouse for things like using Pokeballs and swapping Pokemon. Before this change, you could only run and fight. Now you can use every battle function with the number keys. When you hover over a Pokemon in battle, you'll be able to see your Pokemon's current held item and typing, as well as your opponent's typing and current held item if revealed by Frisk or if the item is used in battle. If you hover over one of your moves in battle, you'll be able to see the move's base power, accuracy, and a small description of the move. This was technically already in the game, however, it's not as prominent as it is now. A bank timer has also been implemented into the system, which means that you have a certain period of time to complete the battle. This helps discourage stalling in PvP, which was a very large issue before this change. However, right now it's currently disabled while bugs are being fixed. Speaking of PvP, you can now choose your lead Pokemon instead of having your lead Pokemon in the front of your team. The battle also moves a lot smoother thanks to the power of the Unity engine, as well as the higher FPS you're able to achieve. You're also able to see how much money you've gained in chat after defeating a wild Pokemon. This new battle system is great for both PvP and PvE players. It gives you more information about the type of Pokemon you're facing and a better idea of what to do. Overall, it was worth the wait. It's an amazing change. Double and triple battles have finally been implemented into the game. People have been asking for different battle styles for a long time, and they finally put it into the game. For those of you that don't know, it's a simple concept. A double battle is a 2v2 style where you and your opponent both fight with 2 Pokemon at the same time. Triple battles are similar, except it's 3v3 where each of you use 3 Pokemon at the same time. This opens up the game to have new types of tournaments and PvP modes that include double and triple battles. To request a double or triple battle, all you have to do is type /battle and then their username and then either 2 or 3. 2 for double battles, 3 for triple battles. Great change, nothing to complain about. This next change is the big one, probably the highlight of this entire patch. Players have been asking for this feature for ages, and it's been on the planned content list for the longest time, and now it's finally in the game. Mega Evolution is available in Pokemon Planet. Now before Megas, the PvP meta was a really odd mix of things. You had Generation 6 Pokemon with Generation 7 movesets and no Megas or Z moves. Players also wanted Megas just because, well, they're freaking cool. I mean, seriously, Mega Gyarados, Blaziken, and Garchomp all look amazing. Plus, the extra power will be able to help new players get through gyms without as much trouble. However, the developers are trying to rebalance Gym and Elite Four stats within the next year or so to account for some new changes that they're going to be implementing. For those of you that don't know what Mega Evolution is and how it works, essentially your Pokemon gains boosted stats, a different ability, and sometimes a type change. Let's take Gyarados for example, just because Gyarados is used so frequently in the game. Gyarados has a Mega Evolution, and when you Mega Evolve your Gyarados, instead of it being a Water Flying type, it now becomes a Water Dark type. It also changes its ability from either Intimidate or Moxie to Mold Breaker. As for stats, it goes from having a base 125 in attack to a base 155. Now, how does one actually Mega Evolve your Pokemon? Well, for starters, your Pokemon has to hold the Mega Stone that is assigned to them. So, for instance, Gyarados can only Mega Evolve while holding a Gyarados-ite, and Venusaur can only Mega Evolve while holding a Venusaur-ite. To Mega Evolve your Pokemon in battle, all you have to do is send out the Pokemon that's holding your Mega Stone, click on Fight, check the Mega Evolution box, then choose a move. Your Pokemon will Mega Evolve and then use the move. It's a fairly simple concept, but I can understand why some players who haven't played the main series games would get confused. Not all Pokemon have a Mega Evolution, however, so make sure the Pokemon that you want to Mega Evolve actually can Mega Evolve. You can look up a list of Mega Pokemon online. Right now, you can only get a few Mega Stones currently, but more will be added later. The Mega Stones that have been added so far are the Alakazite for 10,000 Battle Tower tokens, the Kangaskhanite for 1,750 PvP tokens, the Scissorite for 1,750 PvP tokens, the Gallade for 250,000 Casino tokens, the Sableknight for 175,000 Casino tokens, the Lopunite for 1,750 Clan War tokens, the Pinsirite for 2,500 competitive points, the Metagrossite for 50,000 Philanthropist points, and the one that most players will get, you will receive a free Pidgeotite for defeating the Kanto Elite Four. If you're an old player and want to pick this up, all you have to do is defeat the Kanto Elite Four again. Most Mega Stones haven't been added yet, and I'm planning to make another video on Megas in the future, so stay tuned and subscribe for that. And the inventory and UI got completely overhauled and expanded upon. The inventory now looks completely different and now clearly shows the item, item name, and how much you have of that item. You also don't have to double click an item to use it, you can just click the item once and you'll be prompted to use it. You're not able to click the item sprite anymore, you have to click the box, which might confuse a few returning players. A search bar has also been added to your inventory at the top, so you no longer have to sift through your bag if you want to find and use a specific item. You still have to drag an item to make a Pokemon hold it, however now you have to click on your item to take it from your Pokemon instead of dragging it into the inventory. As usual, your Pokemon can only hold certain items. When you make a Pokemon hold an item as well, if you hover over it, it gives a small description about what the item does. A great change for new players that don't know what a lot of the held items do. The only thing I really don't like about this new inventory is just how bulky it is compared to the old compact one from Flash. However, the pros outweigh the cons and I really love this new inventory, even though it is a bit large. In terms of the overall UI, it's gotten a lot easier to understand. The font and text size has gotten a lot easier to read as opposed to the somewhat small and hard to read text from Flash. An FPS counter has been added to the top left of your screen as well, which helps you track how well your game runs. Another small note, since I can assume that some players will come across this issue, if you log on to Pokemon Planet and your FPS is below 15 or so, try enabling hardware acceleration on your browser. Simply go into your browser settings and search for hardware acceleration. Make sure it's toggled on. Your player movement is also a lot more fluid than the old movement, with smoother walking, riding, and surfing animations. The chat looks a lot nicer and moves a lot smoother. Your gold membership counter now displays days, hours, minutes, and seconds instead of just hours and minutes, which helps you keep a better track of how much time you have until your membership expires. The thick scroll bar of the old chat is now gone in favor of a new, sleeker scroll bar. You can now also scroll the chat by using your scroll wheel on your mouse, which is a great quality of life change. Expanding the chat also looks a lot nicer, as the top of the chat highlights to let you know that you can drag it up or down. If someone sends you a private message, you can now click their name to message them back instead of using the tab or alt key. The Pokemon UI also looks a lot cleaner, and some Pokemon like Yveltal have had updated sprites. You also aren't able to just drag your Pokemon to the general area of where you want them to be in your party. You have to specifically place the Pokemon on top of the other Pokemon. It's a bit annoying, but something that'll most likely get fixed in the future. When you trade Pokemon or items with someone, they now go into your item box as opposed to them just transferring into your inventory or into your PC. This also stays true for item bombs. If you get hit and rewarded, then your rewards go straight to your item box. Speaking of item bombs, it also says if you've been hit with an item bomb at the end of the text block. I personally haven't had this happen to me yet, however that's what other players have said when they've gotten hit. The Friends, Ignore, and Online listing has gotten a massive overhaul, complete with a real-time player counter. Before, you had to refresh your online list to get an exact amount of how many people were online. Now you don't have to refresh it, it updates itself. It also just looks a lot smoother. The PC has also gotten a pretty nice overhaul. You can now simply just scroll through your Pokemon instead of having to click the arrows at the bottom, and whenever you hover over a Pokemon, it shows the level and name of the Pokemon. Unfortunately, the Pokédex has received no changes during the move from Flash to Unity. However, the developers are planning a Pokédex overhaul in the future. The map also looks relatively the same, there haven't been any new achievements added, and no major changes have happened to your trainer card other than the sleeker font design. The battle queue looks and functions mostly the same, however I should add that you're not able to heal up your team by using casual matches anymore. An unfortunate change, however I'm surprised they didn't take it out sooner, seeing that it's essentially an exploit. As for any new settings, they've added a brightness slider for those of you with sensitive eyes or for those of you that just don't want to get flashbanged when you log onto the game. They've also removed the disable players command in favor of a max player slider. Essentially what this slider will do is it will limit the max number of players you can see on your screen. So if you have it set to 150, then you can only see 150 players on a map at one time, no more. Currently the options you have are none, 50, 100, 150, 200, and unlimited. I don't really think you'll have any issue running on unlimited unless you're in a swarm, on a world boss map, or on during clan wars. However, if you don't have a powerful enough computer or you just don't want to lag your game, I think 100 is a fair cap for anyone that has a lower end system. Besides, you probably won't be seeing more than 100 players on a map at the same time anyways. There was a price increase for some credit shop items, and Brody's reasoning for this was that some items were too easy to get and they give a lot more than what they're worth. Most of these credit changes aren't too bad, most of them are only raised by about 100 credits or so. However, I know that a lot of people were up in arms about this. I'm not really someone who buys credits, however I can see this being annoying to those people that do regularly buy credits. There will be a downloadable client for the game coming within the next week or so, meaning that you can either download an application and play the game on a desktop app, or you can simply still play on your browser. That about covers everything in terms of the large game-changing patches, so now we're going to move on to the less impactful, smaller patches. The amount of loot that world bosses give has been reduced to around 30% less than what they gave before this patch. Map control has been completely removed for the time being and will be replaced with a new clan PvE activity in the future, which I'm super excited about. I was never a PvP player, and the average competitive map control players would usually grind about 18 hours a day, so I was never heavily involved in any clan activities. However, for now, there's only going to be clan wars while they design the new activity. Quests have been completely removed for the time being and are going to be reworked, improved, and put back into the game in the near future. Quests weren't really worth doing besides the one with the scientist in Altering Cave or with Flannery in Stark Mountain, and even then they were kind of a pain to complete. The other two quests were only in the game for new players. I genuinely hope that quests can be reworked properly because I think the concept is really cool, and I'm curious to see what they would come up with. Eggs and Cherish Balls got nerfed and will no longer count as a caught Pokédex entry, meaning that, for instance, if you roll an Yveltal from a Cherish Ball, it wouldn't register as caught in your Pokédex and you would have to go out and hunt one if you want the Pokédex entry. One fairly large note, by the way, if you relog, disconnect, or close out of a battle, that encounter will be lost. This is planned to be one of the first things fixed, so this will be changed in the following weeks. For now, however, most players would advise not to hunt any legendaries. A few things have changed regarding commands. For starters, you aren't able to be sent back to the PC by losing a battle, so please make sure you stock up on escape ropes. Some commands flat out just don't work as well, such as the previously mentioned usage stat commands. Copy and pasting doesn't work unless you copy something from in the game. So for instance, if you open a new tab, type something into your search bar and copy that, you won't be able to paste it into the game. However, if you copy something in the game, you'll be able to paste it in the game. And lastly, there are several PvP changes, both bans and unbans. So globally, meaning in all formats and all tournaments, King's Rock, Quick Claw, Razor Fang, and Bright Powder have all been banned from use, and the abilities Sandveil, Snowcloak, and Shadow Tag have also been banned from use. So any of those items and any of those abilities will not be able to be used in any tournaments, clan wars, or battle queue. In Tier 1 of Clan Wars, Blissey, Chandelure, Haxorus, Hydreigon, Latias, Lucario, Porygon Z, and Volcanion have all been unbanned and are able to be used. Drought has also been unbanned in Tier 1, however the items Heat Rock and Light Clay have been banned from Tier 1. One last thing is that pre-existing accounts have been given a special OG cape, a very nice looking decorative item that has an F on the back to symbolize that you've been playing during the days of the Flash player. Personally, I really like this and genuinely might wear it. Again, please note that all of these patches are from the day 1 release, and by the time you're watching this video, most of the bugs should be ironed out and there could potentially be other changes that don't reflect what's been said in this video. All of that just about encompasses what's in the Unity update. I'm really enjoying all of the new features and quality of life changes they've brought in. This has probably been the most new content we've gotten within the last few years, and I genuinely can't wait to see what other new content they'll be bringing. If you do want to check out what they're planning, I'll leave a link in the description to a forum thread that has all of the content that's going to be released within the next few years or so. Again, if you'd also like to enter to try to get your character and player name into one of my videos, follow the instructions in the previous segment of the video. Chances are you'll probably get selected because I needed a lot more player characters than I thought for this video, and I was sort of running out of people to ask. I hope all of you enjoy the Unity update, and I can't wait to see all of you in game. Thank you so much to those of you that have made this video possible with your character sprites. I couldn't have done it without you. And as always, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.